What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Creating Wealth Podcast, where I, Kyle, from Kyle Curtin Real Estate, interview local top dogs in the real estate investing, wealth building, and personal finance industries. Let's build together. What's up, guys? This episode of the podcast was filled with a very great story with super tactical advice with an absolutely incredible guest. In this episode, Marc tells that story from the very beginning to starting and running two very successful companies down in Taunton, Mass. We chatted about many different actionable concepts like taking serious action, thinking like an owner, and the bigger picture value of your time. There are tons of extraordinary points in this episode, and I hope you enjoy. Let's jump right into the episode. What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 20 of the Creating Wealth Podcast. Today, I have the great pleasure of interviewing Marc Mason, an absolutely phenomenal house flipper and owner of Eastside Property Development down in Southern Mass, as well as the owner of an amazing mechanical company called RCL Mechanical. What's going on, Marc? How you doing, man? I'm very excited to have you on.
Thanks for having me on, Kyle. I appreciate it. I've been looking forward to it. I'm ready for this. It's my first podcast, like I was telling you, and I'm all ears. Drink my Monster. I'm ready to go. So let's get the party started.
I love it, man. That's awesome. So to jump straight into things, what kind of got you into real estate investing, and what's kind of your backstory?
I went to a vocational technical school for plumbing.
Mm-hmm.
Hence why I own the mechanical company. I owned plumbing and mechanical. I started off with wanting to be a plumbing and mechanical business owner, and that's what I am. As I got into it, I started growing the business. I met a lot of, house flippers, and they wanted me to do the plumbing in their house and, all the work with it. And this was probably going back to, I graduated in 2009. 2014, I bought my first multifamily. So I believe I was 21. So the way I got into it is I surrounded myself by the right people,
Yep.
Did I want to take that single family house for $4,000 to plumb it? No. You know what I mean? But I did it to give myself opportunity to get in there, grow the business, and to see where it came. I had no idea in the world that I was going to come to like me coming to light and be like, why don't I flip houses? In my head, I was like, I feel like I could do better than this guy or this girl, this is, why are they doing it this way? Because I just think mechanically, I had that business mindset. So, that's how it started, and crazy to tell you, I actually heard on the radio, this fortune builders, they said, hey, come in, free 3-day webinar, three-day seminar. I said, what? I'm going to go. It's free. I'm sure they're going to try to pitch me something at the back end. I'm going to deny it. I'm going to try to get everything I can out of it. And I went there 3 days, and it pretty much changed my life. I went there. I took everything out of it. I wrote everything down. I recorded it. And, I came out of that with fire to my ass. I was like, let's go. Let's do this, And at that, I believe I want to say that was years ago. It might have been right around 2014 I did that. So I came out of the gate with the plan. I was like, I'm gonna house hack. I hopped on Bigger Pockets. I did all kinds of research and everything, and I bought my first 3-family. Ironic situation. A good family friend, realtor. We found this house on Hubzu. This is when Hubzu, I think, first came out, when you could actually find deals on it. It was hubzu.com. So I went on there. Obviously, it was it was going to be the spike of everything going on right now in 2014.
Yeah.
So what I did was I bought the 3-family for $178,000 down here. That was at that time. You probably were like, it's a good deal, but you could have done better because 3-4 years prior to that, people were buying 3-families in my area for $80-90 grand, which is unheard of now. So I bought it. The realtor said, she talked to her boss. She said, Marc, there's no way you're going to close this thing. It's in terrible condition. You're going to go for a mass housing loan. You need railings. You need, there's holes in the walls. This place was a crack house. I said, what's the lockbox? And I went in there. I had 3 buddies. We went in there with a 5-gallon bucket of mud. We had a door. We had cement. We put railings on. Me being the plumber, I turned the water on the street, jumped out the meter with the hose, had water to the house, had electric to the house, turned on with TMLP, and there was I didn't get the gas on, but thankfully they didn't check the heat. So they walked through it, it appraised, everything worked out. It was 14 days prior to closing. And we were just about, at that point, you're like, you're almost clear.
Yeah.
So my loan originator, which I was very new at this point, so everything was kind of like new to me. So I kind of learned this whole thing, on the go. I did my research and then I went with it. So I'm learning as I go at that point. And he said, Marc, we can't close this loan. It's a high risk loan. Because on Hubzu, they give you a buyer's premium, and that buyer's premium puts you over that. They put you over that threshold. So he says, "I have a good friend. I'm gonna hook you up with her, and see what she can do." Her name was Sarah Martin Brooks in Vision Bank. I went to her. I'm pretty sure she closed a loan in like 14, 15 days on time. Absolutely amazing for just a basic loan. I don't even know how she did it. To this date, I've never used anybody else except for her. I've given her probably 30 loans, maybe, between my loans, my refinances, my friends' loans. Everybody I sell to is like, go to her. She's the real deal, and she is, because she just makes it happen.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of goes into a lot of the questions that you're probably going to ask today is your network. Surround yourself by the right people, because that's what your net worth is. So. Yeah, after that, got my first flip in Norton. Word of mouth, no marketing, no nothing. I said, I got out there. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna flip houses. I want to flip houses. They knew I bought that other house right there. That goes. You want to say to touch on that, you got to stay relevant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you get forgotten, if people see you, they keep remembering it. You know what I mean? Repeat business. Oh, Marc, he flips houses, So, I got that house, Norton, Mass, bought it for $125. I actually wholesaled for $185. Turned it into the next flip. It was like a month later. It was a short sale. I was negotiating with the bank. And I believe it was up for $199 for a 2-family. I offered $120. They denied me. I offered $125. They came back and said $130. I said I accepted it, and then they wrote it. The bank wrote up for $120. So that was like a score. The realtor said he's never seen nothing like that, and I was like, you know what? Let's do it. It's a sign, So we did that, and that was a 2-family. I put about $80,000 into that. Sold it for $300 at the time. And that, once again, that was a private sale on Facebook, and we rolled with it. And since then, I've probably done over 50, I would think. I haven't counted, actually. I haven't looked down. I'm not good at looking down and absorbing what's going on. I'm always focused. It's probably one of my downfalls. But and ever since then, it's been history. And we just kept going and going. So. That's kind of how I got started.
That's incredible, man. Just the sure, just drive, and like all it took, to like really like open up the opportunities and stuff was going to a free 3-day class thing. Seminar.
Yeah.
It's insane, man. Like that's all a lot of people need, is just that one spark, like to see what's possible. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah.
There's more to this.
Exactly.
That's all it takes. It's just a little thing.
One of my big saying is get the contract and create the opportunity later. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I stick by that all the time. Just get the contract. Once you get the
Yep.
contract, put it together. Get creative. So
I like that a lot. Somebody else was mentioning that too. Just like get it under contract and then like figure it out after that.
yeah,
And like call the right people and stuff. Get it together the right way and then just make it happen, kind of like on the fly, I guess.
yeah. I use that in both of my businesses. Just get the contract because that's what you need to keep going. I mean, you're going to stay relevant. You have to make sure the numbers work.
Yeah.
I've taken risk. I have, to keep my guys going and stuff like that. But I try to level up from be a level above all the other flippers out there. I want to do things right. I want to have the right team. I want to give my team, everything I can, whether it's vacation time, whether it's Christmas bonuses, whether it's, I mean, this year they got bonuses and heated Milwaukee jackets that said Eastside on it. They loved it, and it's part of building the brand. And in turn, people love the brand. You know what I mean? People love seeing that, So as much as the social media has been tough for me, I'm not a social media guy. So, I've evolved and that's what I've done,
Yeah, exactly. It's so nuts.
Yeah.
Especially kind of going back to what you mentioned before, how like some of the deals were coming from Facebook and stuff. Like that's insane. Like from
Yeah.
people on Facebook and stuff.
Yeah. Out of the 9 deals last year, actually, I'm gonna look on my phone right now
Mhm.
and see which ones were actually came from MLS.
Yeah.
Let me see. What do I got here, bud? Let's see. Because that's important,
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like none of them actually. Oh, one. So I got one off MLS. So out of 9 closed properties last year, not acquired, 9 closed properties last year, 1 came off MLS.
Wow.
And that one was, here it is, create an opportunity. This one actually was ironic. Everyone has a story. I feel like I can write a book sometimes. This one was New Year's Eve. And it came on the market at 6, 7 o'clock. I was actually happened to already be out. And I was getting, pizza and beers with friends and whatever. I seen it come on. I'm like, multifamily. What was it on for? I believe it was on for 200, 199. And I called them right away. I said, I called the listing realtor because I feel like that's how you get the deals because they want to double dip. It all comes down to money, I said, I might have had a few beers. I said, hey, I want this. I want it now. I'll send you a deposit tomorrow morning. On sight unseen. Never done this before. Sight unseen. On auctions I've had, but like on MLS, you usually go and look at them. I'm like, sight unseen. I'll take it. He's like, Marc, it comes with a tenant upstairs. The first floor will be vacant. I said, perfect. I'll take it. Close in 30 days. See ya. He loved it. He actually got me in there to see it anyway after we got on the contract. And 6 months later, I finally closed it because it was title issues and it was in probate. And in that 6 months, unfortunate, the person upstairs passed. Got the house vacant. I flipped it. I put about 75 grand into it and sold it put it on the market for 325 and got like 369. So
Wow.
yeah, so that was, and it was about a month and a half rehab. So it was good, and that's what it comes down to is get the contract. Like I said, get that contract, create the opportunity, and do it.
Yeah, definitely. I love to hear stories like that, man. Like, oh, it just came up today. Like I already took action on it. And, it turned out you ended up closing it, and getting through all like the title issues and all that fun stuff. Like all because you literally just saw it and jumped. Like, let's go.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
wow.
Yeah.
Love that. You can't beat stories like that, because like other people like to run their numbers and stuff and like, like take time and stuff. But like if you're really on the ball and like got the I guess the ability to like really take action on it fast, then it seems like you kind of reap your rewards.
Yeah. I mean, and every house kind of had a story, you know. This one was actually one of the biggest drug houses in Taunton, so it was very.
Nice.
And you know, I have a lot of friends in the police offices and stuff like that. They're like, "Dude, you are crazy, Marc. Yeah, this, that. The doors getting kicked in. They tried robbing the mailman. They, you know, I'm
Yeah.
like, you know, it ended up working out. I got it. You know, it was a tough 2 weeks until I realized everything was changing. But the biggest thing is you drop that dumpster there that first day. That hour you close, the dumpster's ready to go. Once they see the dumpster, you know, it's all, you know, you
Yeah.
they get a
Things are
little
moving.
nervous, you know. It's like, you know, keep it moving, guys, you know. So that's what happened with that one.
It's super impressive, man. I love that story.
You know.
So to kind of jump into, the next question that ties right into that, what's kind of your drive and your vision for the long term? I know, coming out of high school and stuff, you wanted to have like your plumbing and mechanical company and be the owner, and that kind of stemmed into this and everything and where you are now. But yeah, what's kind of like your long term, like your fire, I guess you could say.
You know, I don't do it for the money. As
Yeah.
crazy as that sounds, you know. I'm, you know, I love moving. I love interacting. I love staying on the go, staying busy. I love having, you know, I guess you could say having the financial freedom. Um, you know, I never had a set plan saying, hey, I want to flip houses. I want a rental portfolio. I want a wholesale. You know, I kind of let the market dictate what I was going to do.
Yeah.
So I get, like, I tell my guys, you know, we got to be ready for what's coming. You know, and I was actually telling them this past year when COVID. I said, listen, don't know where everything's going. It's gonna get crazy. Luckily, it didn't too bad, but you know, we have to be diverse.
Yeah.
We're gonna start building. We're gonna start doing customer jobs. We're gonna keep flipping. You know, whatever. You know, if you have to mow my lawn, and then when it doesn't need to be mowed, we'll do it. You know, we'll keep busy. Um, so, you know, I guess my drive is just, you know, the brand and you know, in the end, you know, it'll be nice to be retired at an early age and to kind of like be able to spend more time with the family and, you know, and teach my, you know, my kids the game. And I have a nephew that I love, love showing him, you know, there's more options in college, you know.
Yeah.
Which he's kind of learned that, you know, and I didn't really push it on him, but I'm trying to show him what's out there.
Yeah.
And he's 17 today, and you know, he wants to be in real estate. And I'm like, wow, if I if I knew what he knew, and if I surrounded myself by an uncle or a dad or a friend that knew what I knew at 17, I would have been ahead of everybody 20 years, you know, 10 years, whatever it is, you know. So I guess it's just everything. It's a little bit of everything, the whole drive, you know. It's not just wealth, you know, it's a little bit of the freedom, it's some of wealth, you know, and just, you know, the name and the brand. So that's kind of it, really, you know.
Yeah, I
I don't
totally get
really
where you're coming from.
I don't have a set plan on, you know, hey, I want to own this much rental units or I want to flip this many houses. Right now, I have no, well, I have two. I'm flipping one house right now. Usually I'm averaging three at a time, two, three at a time. Right now, the market calls for just flipping one. I only have one. You know, the
Yeah.
biggest thing is staying disciplined and consistent. I feel like I'm doing that, and I still haven't got anything for the right price. But what I have been getting is a lot of land. So now we're moving over to the land portion, which is, you know, fairly new for me. But I'm learning it, and I'm going to conquer it, and that's what's going to happen. So I'm building two houses that are breaking ground in 2 weeks, side by side, that I got vacant land that I got under contract about 3 months ago. Went through the engineering process. It's getting cleared right now, so that's pretty cool. And then the foundation goes in 2-3 weeks, and we're gonna start rolling on it. I got a piece of land in Berkeley, Mass, under contract. I'm currently negotiating four lot subdivision in Middleborough, Massachusetts. I just got on a contract at one lot in Dayton, Massachusetts. So it went from all types of rehabs to building, which I kind of like. The rehab is better because they're quicker turn. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's quicker. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's quicker. So the building is a little bit more, I feel like more riskier because it's longer, more money tied up and it's longer term,
Mhm.
instead of 70, 80 grand, even 100 grand to a house sometimes, or 200, like the last one I put up, but it's 300,000. You know what I mean? You can't build a colonial for less than 300,000 these days, so that's where I'm at, so once again, I'm going with the market, I'm
Yeah.
not making any crazy decisions that are going to be bad for the company. I'm going to stay consistent on, because you make money on when you buy the house, not when you sell the house. Construction cost is construction cost. If you're trying to say, hey, I want this house, and is it really $100,000 about this house? Can we do it for 80? You probably shouldn't be doing that because you're talking yourself into buying the deal. Stick what you got, you stick what because in the end, you're not going to want to work 6 months, just to make no money, and stuff can go sell fast. So that's my biggest thing. It's like when you buy your first one, stick to the numbers, stay disciplined. As bad as it can be, and as long as it can take, if you stay disciplined and consistent, you will find the right deal that will put you in a position to, to start your real estate track.
That's phenomenal, man. I appreciate that so much, like how valuable that is. Especially like, just kind of like staying fluid and like letting things, kind of take their course and see how the market is, and being able to adapt to do different things. Like, yeah, you are flipping, one house at a time right now, which is obviously like phenomenal, but like the land sales might be a little bit more, I guess, like popular, like the way that the market's decided it. So, I mean, yeah, like you've never done it before, but like just the willingness to adapt and to learn and to like pick that
Yeah,
up is insane. You have a lot more tools in your tool belt for when, the market decides to do whatever it decides, at any given point.
yep,
Like you have a
yep,
lot of different stuff going on still. I love that,
exactly,
man. That's crazy.
exactly.
Wow. So this one we kind of got into a little bit already. It was, would you mind telling the story of acquiring your first property? Was there any like big lessons that you learned from that? I know you kind of got into that as well, but like any really big ones that stuck out?
Big lessons that I've learned on the first property. The biggest lesson, I mean, when you say that, you almost have something like a negative lesson. I think it was all positive. I got the contract. I was very uncomfortable, which you
Mhm.
should want to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
When you're making a big money move like that, you're purchasing your first house, you're purchasing any house. Sometimes every time I purchase a house, I'm like, ugh, what doesn't everybody else see? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But you got to stick to the numbers, the facts. So, I think it was all positive. Like I said, I made the connection for the loan agent that has got me a ton of deals, and we closed up plenty of deals together. The realtor, I kind of made a name for myself because of like, I can't believe you pulled this together.
Yeah.
Um, just acquiring the house. I went in there and rehabbed the house. I took 6 months to rehab, 5, 6 months to rehab the house and refinanced all my money out. And then I had all my money back. I was paycheck to paycheck at that point. I put everything I could into that house and maxed out all my credit cards. Every credit card maxed out. I was telling my friends I can't go out, and I was a drinker at that time. I was like, I can't go out. I have no money. Maxed all my
Yeah.
credit cards, paid the interest, all that 6 months. Refinanced it, paid everything off. I was back to square one. Had equity in the house, and that's when I took off. It all clicked at that time. You know what I mean? I'm like, wow. And this house was cash flowing. I want to say $2,000 a month. Yeah, it's still,
Insane.
So that's 24 grand a year right there, cash flow. So that's huge. That's huge for somebody that was 21, in general, if you have 2 or 3 of those, sometimes people can walk away from their full-time jobs.
super early.
Yeah. So.
No, how was kind of like the sacrifice during that time? Like, was it a little tough to deal with, or did you kind of know, like, this is something that I have to do? Things are going to be a little bit tight right now, but in the bigger picture, like, this is going to be 110% worth it.
You know, I had tunnel vision, kind of like what I told you. I don't pick my head up. You know what I mean? I don't think when I have my mind set on something, I'm like, there's nothing getting in the way.
Yep.
So I was full speed. My girlfriend wanted to break up with me at the time. It was, all my friends were helping. They were a great part of my success. We made some funny memories, great times in the place trying to rehab it. Made a ton of mistakes. When you start rehabbing at an early age, you don't really understand the whole construction concept as much as you do when you start doing it a lot. So, there was corners cut that I learned on. So you also don't know the liability. I'm big on liability. You need insurance, umbrella over all your properties, stuff like that. So I'm a big liability guy now. But in general, thankfully I've never been sued, but that's another thing I learned from that seminar is insurance is cheap. Accidents are expensive.
I like that a lot.
It's
so true.
It stuck with me for 7 years now. So, that's that, So, any crazy things that happened? Nothing totally crazy. I'm trying to think if anything on any other flips has happened. I've had no major catastrophes. I mean, everything's kind of, I've done my due diligence. Have I made mistakes? Yes. My biggest fear is, knock on wood, that a house doesn't burn down when I'm building it. Stuff like that. But no real. When we talk about that, I really had no like crazy foundation issues, structural issues. So structural issues to me are like having to get an engineer involved. Have I replaced all the structural joists in a house before? Absolutely. That was my toughest house. I can probably tell you about that later if you want to ask. But nothing crazy.
Wow.
In my eyes, at least. Something crazy to me would be like the house burning down when I'm, rehabbing, or the foundation's junk and I got to pour a new foundation, or have to replace all the sills around the whole perimeter of the house. Have I had to replace some sills? Absolutely, but nothing crazy.
Dude, I like that a lot. Just kind of like what you perceive as like a really catastrophic event. I assume might have been different from like when you first started out. Like just being able to tackle problems as they come along, and like, now like that standard is set pretty high, for something that could be like a really problematic, Yeah.
No, you're right. I'm bigger on little things irritate me. You could tell me something crazy's happened. I'm like, all right, like let's get to work. What are we gonna do? Let's plan. Let's execute. The things that that really kind of get to me are the small things. I'm big on efficiency. In labor savings and thinking like an owner, like I tell all my guys. You got to think like me. What would you do if this was your company? This is your job. Think like that, So I try to get them out to run the Home Depot or a supply house twice a day or once a day. Plan ahead. If someone goes down to Home Depot in 2 times in one day, that's a catastrophe for me. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm like, what? How did you not plan? That's so simple, So just plan. That's all. Write it down. Ask questions. Write it down. Do you need to be trained? What do you need to do? Do you need something? What do you need from me so we can say? Because not does it cost money. It's more of a cost time. And what's the biggest thing with these houses? It's time. You want to get them done in a little time. without being called that guy, oh, that normal flipper that just cares about time,
Yeah.
So I try to separate myself from that and, be organized and be ready,
Yeah,
I'd
that's
say
100%.
my biggest pro is probably planning. I get the projects done so fast because I plan properly,
Yeah. I bet at this point, a lot of stuff is kind of like streamlined. Would it be safe to say? Like you just have like a process, like, this, and this, and like everything's like really
Yeah.
like planned ahead and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. The process goes, we get the house under contract and the windows are probably already ordered by the time we close. The dumpsters line up for that day. We have scope sheets that we put on the walls, HVAC, electrical, general construction, and this is what they own. Because in the rough end of the job, they're saying, I don't know the bathroom vent. Who's doing the bathroom vent? And I'm like, we've done this 100 times, So I ended up getting these scope sheets where electricians doing the bathroom vents now, all the time. And he checks off on it. When it's done, they check it off on the wall, So the scope sheets are key, and I use a lot of the same guys. I don't penny pinch.
Yeah.
I look at the numbers, but if I'm trying to save $500 to $1,000 and trying to pinch the subs to to do that, I'm not going to get the jobs done in 3 months like I want to. Sometimes I want to be bought. I try to be bought and sold in 4 months. That's always my goal, and that sometimes is always getting the buyer before you finish it.
Yeah. That's super impressive, man. I like that idea a lot, of like the scope sheets and like, having the checklists and like literally everything's taken care of on this list. And, as things are getting done, check them off. I like that a lot. I feel like that can be kind of, implemented with a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And it's good for me too, because sometimes I will forget to order the kitchen designs and the bathroom designs and tell people what size vanities we're getting. So that's all on there for me too.
Yeah.
So, at the beginning of the job, like right now, the first thing, with all what I just said, we also call Home Depot and get a carpet order because there's a lead time. We call the appliance company and order the appliances right away because there's a lead time, especially with COVID. So that's kind of the first things we do now too.
Wow.
So that's all getting done. And that carpet date doesn't change. If you talk to my guys, they're going to laugh because they're going to be like, Marc doesn't change carpet dates. It doesn't matter if we have to build a wall after the carpet goes in. That carpet date's set and that's what we're shipping it, So, so I try not making that schedule move, and you got to be super, super organized for it not to move,
Wow. That's super impressive. Oh my God.
Thank you.
Wow. What do you consider to be the biggest variable to expand your portfolio, or like your clientele, for like either your businesses or, how do you kind of like draw people in, I guess you could say?
So, it's relationships, network, and social media. I didn't know how powerful social media was until I really started listening to podcasts and following, big house flippers, and they're like, oh my God, like this is how you get known. I was always that kind of quiet guy that was like, I don't want people to know what I do, because the moment someone says, oh, you flip houses, oh, you're a millionaire, oh, you got money. I don't want to be that guy. I want to be, you know what I mean? So it took a lot to be like, hey, this is what I do, and once that came, I know a lot of people in town, surrounding town, so everybody has a grandmother or someone going through divorce or doesn't know what to do, distressed property. In the same instant, I'm sending out direct mailers. I actually told a story to CJ and Beth Moss a couple of weeks ago when we went out to dinner. We one of the properties, I was going to get my t-shirts made, and next door
was a shot, by the way. Sorry.
What was that?
Those are very sharp, by the way. I like that a lot.
Thank you. I went to go get the t-shirts, and I look next door, there's a vacant house. And I'm like, Amy, what's going on with the vacant house? Oh, I've been trying to buy it for years. She doesn't want to sell. I'm like, all right. Cold called her, immediately leaving the driveway. Told her who I was. I wanted to buy the house. She's like, hey, come by. 92 years old. Drove straight to Middleborough. I went in her house, cute old lady. And I said, I really want the house. I want to make it something. I'm going to walk you through it when we're done. I want to make it beautiful, And, she's like, how much you want for it? And she's like, how much? I asked her what she wanted for it. She said, 80,000. I said, I'll do it for 80,000. I'll do it for 80,000. At the time, I'm like, score, but that's all it took. A simple call, and she knew I was serious, and I maybe caught her at the right time.
Yep.
So it's just network, relationships, social media. It's a little bit of everything. Like I tell everybody, you just gotta be diverse, once you start to get, bigger, you start working with a lot of sales reps. And, I'm the number one contractor out of Taunton Home Depot. I'm getting pretty big. I use Mason lumber a lot. So, and I'm getting connections from Mason lumber for framing. Home Depot, they see people all the time that are looking to sell, or their home projects, or people, so, they keep me in mind. I mean, I've had leads come in from Home Depot. They got people that work the protest there. I've actually had a no water call by my plumbing company, and I went there and I offered to buy her house. I didn't get it. I did not get it, unfortunately. But that was pretty cool. I'm like, hey, listen, this is what I'll relocate you. I'll put you in a mobile home, and we'll get you all situated. And the place was gross. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, so it was probably in her best interest. She ended up listing it though, and she got a little bit more for it, so it worked out for her.
Mm-hmm. See, that's incredible right there. Just to be able to like go in there, as a contractor, with the plumbing and stuff, get the service call in, go and take care of it. And then there's an opportunity there, to be able to like help her out, as well as, helping you and your guys out as well, and potentially get another acquisition. It unfortunately didn't, work out that time, but like just the opportunity right there is crazy.
Yeah.
And then as long, like same thing with the social media and stuff, like just creating like every possible way of like, getting you guys out there, and like kind of getting in people's heads a little bit, saying like, oh, they're doing this crazy stuff. It's just crazy. Like just getting it must be really cool, when you get a lead from Home Depot or something, or like a place that like you might not necessarily focus on too much. Like, whoa, like
Yeah.
or, for a referral from somebody, or
they all follow the story. They're friends with me on Facebook, they're friends with me on Instagram, and they just see how well you do, and they like Instagram says, like, this is my story, and they love it. That's why I kept telling you in the beginning, like, let's just be real.
Yep, exactly.
Because people like that.
People love the authenticity.
Yeah.
Especially, in the kind of age that we live in now, where, not everybody is very authentic, and a lot of people are just out for the buck and everything, and not necessarily shooting for the win-win kind of mentality.
Yep. I agree. I mean, you could probably be telling people that you've done 10 properties right now, but you're authentic. You're saying you're still shooting for your first one, and that makes you you. You know what I mean? That makes you you. So never stop being you.
Exactly. I feel like eventually with something like that, in the short term, it might work out for you, but in the long term, eventually the real thing's going to come out.
Yeah.
You're going to be exposed, whether it's out of extremely good intention, well, just from doing the right thing all the time, and like just being real with people. And also if, you've been doing the wrong thing the whole time, and putting on the wrong front and everything, like I feel like karma always kind of comes around, in both directions.
I agree. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Moving on to our next question, Marc. What is the most important lesson that you've learned over your career? This one's always kind of a heavy hitter.
Most important lesson. Well, for some reason, I keep going back to this, and because to me, it's so important to me, is, you know, if you don't stay consistent and disciplined,
Yeah.
nothing's going to unravel correctly. You know, um, I think that's probably going to be mine. I a couple months ago, I had a full-time acquisitions manager. He didn't end up working out. I had to let him go about 3, 4 months ago. And think about this. We let him go. I got busy with the plumbing company. I let off the gas pedal a little bit
Yeah.
on acquisitions. And what did I just tell you 20 minutes ago? We only doing one flip right now. So, and I used to average 3. So that goes back to being, um, you just gotta stay consistent and disciplined, and to keep your business going, to keep things going, and have faith. So I would say that. I would probably say that, to be honest with you. And
Consistency is key.
yeah, exactly. Consistency is key. Um, Trying to think what else. Probably not being greedy. Don't be greedy. Because someone's going to do it. Someone will do it. Instead of you. And what do you want to do? You want to stay relevant. You want to stay, consistent, disciplined. You know, Staying disciplined and not greedy is, that's where you want to be. I've had a lot of deals that I didn't have the money for, even recently. And you have to team up with other people to get the deals, which cuts your profit in half.
Yeah.
But we stayed relevant. We still made, 20, 30, 40,000. And, it was a win-win for both of you. And you stayed relevant. You kept your guys going and you kept moving.
Yeah.
So I would say that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like that a lot. Especially just kind of like staying conservative, even if it means, like doing something like that, where you team up with somebody and profits and stuff are sliced in half, but the risk is also sliced in half too.
Correct.
You're not playing a very dangerous game, and like, I guess, yeah, just increasing the risk quite a bit, playing it more conservative, but everything's more conservative.
Agreed. And then you also get to bounce ideas off people, off your partner. You get to pick their brain more. They can offer things that you can't offer, and that's how I've learned. I've surrounded myself by, people above me.
Yeah.
You got to get, like Grant Cardone says, get a seat at the table. Get a seat at the table. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter what it costs. How you get there. Serve water. Whatever you got to do, get a seat at the table. So.
Yep. That's the name of the game. It's so crazy to do that, and it's relatively easy too.
Yeah.
Just be willing to have conversations with people and help people out and everything, and just get around people who are doing a lot bigger things than you are, and see what you can offer to them, and it's just a mentality thing.
Yeah.
Have them kind of bring you up, through osmosis, and just taking things off of people, giving things to people. And it's a whole nother, like, once you understand the principle, it's crazy. Things really
Yeah.
start to change, depending on who you
Absolutely.
put yourself with.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Absolutely. I actually have my nephew right now. He's 17, and he's doing all the right things. He's following the right people. He's following the right businesses, and he's actually just doing, like, he's driving for dollars for me right now. He drives around, looks for properties, and sends them to me, and he gets it. And I told him, he had a list. I said, listen, this was actually last night. I said, call them all tomorrow. He goes, there's 200 on here, Marc. I said, call them all tomorrow. I was like, I'll pay you to call them all. Never mind, I'm going to give you $5,000 if you land one. But call them all tomorrow. The biggest thing is getting the right number. If they even are an indication that they want to sell, you're gonna write it down, and then we're gonna formalize a plan. So, when we did some skits, me and him, I'm like, I acted as the seller. He acted as as me, Colin. And I said,
Yeah.
hey, I gave him some scenarios. I'm like, he's 17 years old. That's how powerful is that. So, he got it. So I'm curious where he's at right now.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So
He's like so stacked right now.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just having that kind of influence and doing that
Oh,
stuff
for
that
sure.
young. Like, oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. So
Especially, to kind of see you as like a mentor and, to kind of stem back to something we talked about earlier. Um, just to be able to kind of like show him alternatives to like the norm of, just going to college and working all these years and,
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Just show him what else is possible as well and see if that's something that he would take interest in. And it,
Yep.
it seems like he definitely has, and that's like absolutely incredible,
Absolutely.
like
Even if it's a side gig for him for, 5
yeah.
years, he's
Yep.
going to be way ahead of anybody.
Yep. And
You
even
know?
like the skills of like just being on the phone and like, just going through the motions and like the patience and stuff that's building, going through all that, the list and driving through the streets and, like he's knowing the area and stuff. I feel like there's a lot of like indirect like skills that are being built like ridiculously right now.
Yeah.
There's like the main things obviously, but like I feel like it's bigger than that. And that's
Yeah. No,
that's
for
so
sure.
special.
He's going to be, I tell him what to look for. I mean, he's caught on great. He's going to be great. He's going to be a great asset. So
Yeah.
I'm waiting until he's out of school and maybe he can shadow me throughout the summer. So
You can't
I'll
beat
let
it.
you know how it goes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Wow. Moving on to our next question here, Mark. This is another big one. How do you define wealth?
Freedom. I'm just big on time. You can't buy
Yeah.
time.
Nope.
You can't buy time. I make a joke. You just can't buy time, and money does. I think money can buy short-term happiness per se. Have you ever seen an upset guy on a boat or jet ski? No, that's the kind of jokes I make. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but having the money puts you in a position to have freedom. Freedom is happiness. You know what I mean? Freedom is more time with family, to yourself, more gym time. When you go to the gym, you feel better. I'm talking about me.
Yeah.
So time. You cannot buy time. Like, it's still kicking. Like, everything I do is like my brain ticks and works on time. I make jokes to people, when someone doesn't want to make change. I said, listen, do you know how many Fridays you have left in your life or how many weekends you have left in your life? And I'm like, do it. I'm like, the average person lives to 85. 85 minus 30 times 52. You have 1,700 more freaking Fridays left, or 1,700 more weekends left. It sounds like a lot, kind of, but think about it. 1,700.
That's not many.
What are you going to
In the
do?
bigger
No, it's
picture.
not many. It's not
Yeah.
many. 1,700, you know what I mean? Like, that's not many. And that's saying you live to 85.
Yeah.
Wealth is, everybody thinks like 401k or retirement. Let's wait till get my 401k at 65 and a half. I am totally against it.
Yep.
Because, I feel like, it's designed to leave it to your children. Or that's not, it's a bad thing. But what do you do at 65? You really don't. I mean, do you travel? Yes. You're going to have grandkids, you're retired. But don't you want to live life prior to that? Your best times are in your 20s and 30s, So it's like,
Yeah.
don't you want to be 35, 40 and have a boat, being able to travel the world, being able to help people, having no issues with money, no problems with rent or mortgages, or being able to be an influence on your family members, So my family was never wealthy, so I'm ecstatic to show my nephews and everybody else in the family, what I can do and what I can bring to the table and how I can teach everybody and be an asset to them.
Yeah, I really, really like that. I know, you called it a joke, but honestly, it's the truth, man. Like,
Yeah.
just thinking about it that way, like, I'm literally gonna watch this back and like write that down and just remember something like that. You know what I mean? Like, even like just you mention it, like the way that like I responded to it, um, like it just kind of gave me like a boot in the behind, you know what I mean? To like, all right,
Yeah.
let's go. Like that's not that long at all.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Think
crazy,
about
man.
it.
Yeah, it's and even that's something I've been kind of thinking about recently is like, the tradition of, like working until you're 65 and, most people are going to be in a job that they don't like. It's just a given. That's kind of the norm. I mean, it's not the case for everybody,
Yeah.
but you're waiting until 65 to retire. You'll get your retirement and like one big thing is like, what if you want to live a lifestyle that, you know, you use up all the money in your retirement like quickly.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
that's one big thing that like, what if that happens? What are you going to do? Like get another part-time job or something? Like and then is that going to be enough? Or even like, if you retire at 65 and then like I've seen it around me personally, all of a sudden like all these health problems and stuff start to come out. So if you were miserable until you were 65 and then, like cancer or something came or, like some like tragic like diagnosis happened,
Yeah.
like when are you supposed to enjoy your life? You know what I mean? Like now you're at this point where like you might not actually be able to.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that totally like, ties in with what you said of like, in the bigger picture, it makes more sense, to be able to enjoy your life like really young and really just take charge of something like that. You know,
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't get that mentality anymore of, working until you're 65 and, God forbid, like something were to happen like the day after you're retired, and now you might have like a diagnosis that you don't really like too much. And now
Yeah.
you literally might not be able to actually enjoy
Your
that,
life.
you know?
Yeah. 100%. That's how I
Yeah.
think, So I try to compound it as quick as possible and try to move that needle back to dial my
Yep.
life to where I want it to be in my 30s.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be 30 in June. So
That's awesome, man. Yeah,
so
that's definitely something that hits heavy. I'm extremely glad that you said that and like the way you worded that and stuff.
oh, thank you.
Um, what are the most effective resources that have helped you most far on your journey? I know we've kind of talked a lot about like the
Yeah.
networking and like, like we've talked quite a bit about that. I didn't know if there was like anything else at all, like that really is like played a big part.
No, just I think we'll touch back on it again. Just surrounding yourself by the right people, the
Yep.
right realtors, the right rehab is. Just getting a seat, just getting a seat at the table.
Yeah.
You're just gonna make a name for yourself. It's tough at first. I wish I had a camera on me the whole time. Because it would be amazing. Um, so it's just the right people. The right
Yeah.
people, right time. You got to sense it. I I was looking for another realtor. My realtor moved away, the one I was telling you about earlier. I was looking for another realtor that was like, I was looking for somebody that actually didn't like flip houses, but they knew a lot about it because I
Yeah.
didn't want to go after them saying, hey, I want to flip houses, get me some deals, and then they're taking them anyway.
Yeah.
So, I was looking and this guy listed a house and I went there and, I'm like, I called the listing agent again. I said, hey, I want to look at this house. He goes, all right, meet me here at this time. I met him there and he was a realtor. He's probably late 30s right now. And, you know, we've, we hit it off. Uh, he was a big realtor in Taunton at the time and still is actually. And, he seen my drive, my vision, and we probably did 15 deals together so far. Yeah, we've and because at first I didn't really have the money, especially when we had multiple going on.
Yeah.
just putting up so many, call me crazy, but I haven't used a lot of hard money.
Really?
I don't really use hard. Luckily, with the time, I'm starting to use it more now because of where the market's going, but it's just been going up. And I'm like, you know what? I think we're safe. Because I didn't want to spend that 20, 30 grand in hard money. So
Yeah.
yeah, once again, I seen it at the right time. I went and looked at that house. I shot him my story. He kind of liked where I was at, and we kind of did it.
I love that, man.
We ended up doing 15 houses. We're still very good friends and partners when needed at this time. So he's very smart. I bounced a lot of things off of him. He's kind of brought me up to another level because he's obviously been in the game a lot longer than me. So getting that seat at the table, baby.
Yep.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's especially, something significant too, because like most agents out there don't really know anything about the investment half. Like it's like a whole nother ball game, and then the ones who might be looking for those deals on their own, like you said, and take those for themselves. So to find like that really small margin in between like a lot of like retail focused agents, like traditional agents, versus like the really smart investor agents that might be taking your deal or taking deals that they find, I imagine is really small.
Yeah.
It's very special, to find somebody like that.
Absolutely.
Moving on to the next question. What is something that you thought about business, networking, or wealth creation that kind of changed as you went along?
Hold on, I'm gonna read this off your slip here. So give me a second.
Yep.
Relationships change. You got to stick to business.
Yeah.
A lot of things change. Just the whole dynamic. The market changes. And a lot of you change personally, which changes things, your relationships change, your network changes, you want to grow your network. Everything's changed for the better for me. Luckily, with being consistent and disciplined, I got surrounded by the right people, made the right decisions that I thought, had no crazy problems with all the houses that we flipped or rentals that we bought. So I think that I wish that, one thing I did do was buy more rentals. I think I have about 13 units right now, which is amazing because they're all great tenants. They're all paying, especially with COVID-19, no issues. But, like I told you before, the market dictates what I do. So I could not find, multifamilies at the correct price. So I didn't buy. I bought them to flip, not to keep.
Yeah.
So the last one I bought was last year for $285, private sale, free family, and I still think that was too much money. Right now, I can put it on the market for like $550. So that's why I bought it. So I have options with it for right now. But multis are a different animal than single family. So I take a little bit more risk on the multis. And I think the single families and the commercials is going to go way down. And the multis are probably going to stay up. Because once again, like you said, everybody's starting to realize that I don't want my 401k at 65. I want passive income. You know what I mean? I think that's a movement.
Yeah.
So, the only thing that really has changed also is like, the market. You have to make all your decisions on the market and what you think the market's going to go. That's why I'm kind of like, I'm going to do the land if I get it for the right price, but I don't want to do it, because it's a 6-month process. I'm used to 3 months to get my money back. I'm getting used to return on 3 to 4 months versus 6, 8 months, maybe.
Yeah.
The last new construction I did, I started in June and I sold it in November. So what's that? 6 months?
I think so.
Yeah. So 5, 6 months. So, and that one I was into that Colonial for 340 plus the land for 125. So that's a big nut to hold. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but kudos to the people that do,
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I'd love to keep talking to you for hours, Marc. I just want to get these two last questions in.
No, absolutely.
I don't want to hold you too long.
No. I have a review at 2:00 that I want to get back to my employee, as you know. So
yeah, of course.
we got time, so we can get these last 2 questions out, have a a conclusion, and wrap it up.
Yeah. Okay. I just
excited.
didn't want to kind of
First podcast is going pretty decent, so I kind of like it.
Yeah, definitely, man. I just didn't want to kind of, I know you were busy, so I didn't want to butt into your
No worries. I'm glad we linked up.
Cool.
It's been nice to kind of relax and actually look at the screen and just talk,
Yeah.
My girlfriend, fiance, should say, she wants to kill me sometimes because she talks to me, but she doesn't talk to me. You know what I mean? We know what we're talking about because it's just, that's the way it goes, because I have so much things on my mind. So I feel like disconnected a little bit and kind of poured some information out, which is going to be good for you, good for everybody that follows you. It's going to be exciting, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's very nice to disconnect sometimes, especially with everything going on all the time.
Yeah.
It's definitely. What is your best piece of advice to new investors that want to start and manage their rental portfolio?
Get the contract. Get the contract. Just do it. Pull the trigger.
Yep.
Because that's going to be that's going to be the start. You can analyze the numbers. You can look at the house 5 times. And before you do that, I'm going to call and have that thing under contract. So get there midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Freaking throw a different lock on it. Do something so someone can't get in there. Do what you got to do. Go to the listing realtor, get that, put yourself in the right position. Be ready to pull the trigger. Too many people, too many newly investors are too busy analyzing numbers, looking at things, looking at comps. Be ready for all that. That's the easy stuff, Be ready for that.
Yep.
Be ready, and get that contract, because that's going to be the start of, look at me, 2014, I got the contract, and it compiled into an absolute awesome career, and I love it. Passionate. I love what I do. So, and it's good paying, and you have freedom, although I don't have much freedom because I'm wired to keep going. I'm like a train, so it's tough, I hit the pillow at 8, 9 o'clock at night and I'm out, so no, that's my new thing. I mean, that's just get the contract. And then you can always have resources, if you're off on the construction costs, go in there, have, maybe you can do it yourself, cut some costs, do whatever you gotta do. But when you turn around and make 50 grand, that's the start.
Yep.
That's the start, Tough market right now. You're not going to get things off MLS unless you're very well known, So you want to, someone like me could get something faster than somebody that doesn't do it because I'm reputable,
Exactly.
And they know I can close. So that's it. Get the contract.
I love that. Because even too, if things come up, later on, you can get out of it too. You know what I mean? It's not like you're just you're signing your life away and then something hits the fan and you're stuck. Get the contract and then you can still get out, depending on what happens and stuff.
I lost this goes back to one of your questions, actually, now that we're talking. I lost $4,000 on trying to house hack a 2-family.
Really?
I didn't get my deposit back. because they didn't think I was gonna they didn't think I was gonna live in it. FHA didn't believe me. I wrote letters.
Yeah.
I did everything I could, and it was past my commitment date on my lending, and I lost the money. But I came back harder. I was pissed. I was rip shit, and you know, and it motivated me to do more because I looked past it. At $4,000 sucked at that time. It sucked, but you know what? I was looking at the bigger picture. I was looking at the end goal. So,
Yep, that's the name of the game. You know, and especially like the energy that creates of like being like mad that didn't go through. Like I feel like that's, you know, kind of like a right hook to really like build a lot more momentum. It's like, all right, you know, screw that. Like, you know, I'm gonna go do this and come back twice as harder.
Yeah.
Definitely. What is a common myth about building a portfolio that you want to debunk?
You're gonna have to help me with this one. What do you give me an example here?
So pretty much something that like the everyday like person could think about real estate investing that's like an excuse on why they won't get into it. So kind of like, oh, you're gonna be fixing toilets at 2 a.m. and you know, like kind of like stuff like that. Or you're gonna have to deal with bad tenants and you know.
Yeah.
Or even like, you know, like, oh, like flipping is extremely risky, like you're gonna lose a lot of money. You know, like
this is good. This is good. So in school they don't teach you anything about real estate. They don't teach you how to write checks. They don't teach you how to balance checks because they want you working for the man. And they're pissed right now. There's so much entrepreneurship going on in the world. Hence all the political stuff going on. We won't get into that. But they you know, they people are taking risk. People are making more money than they ever made. We're in the best situation America has ever been in a pandemic. So, you know, you gotta take the risk. I think there's more people out to take the risk now. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, like you said, people, you know, oh, I don't want tenants. They're not going to pay their rent. That's a big mortgage, or you know, you want that risk, that headache, calls at night. You know, there's solutions to all that. Hire a property manager. Goes back to getting the house at the right price. Taking the risk. Make sure you get it at the right price. Get the contract at the correct price. You know, a lot of it's quickness. You know what I mean? It's follow up. It's okay. You list for $199. I'll give you $199. Done. Let's go. You know, and you're like, all right, this guy means business. You know, no contingencies. You know, you got to take that risk. You know, a lot of people don't want to take the risk. They think everything's a headache. You know, hire. You know, if you get taken, you know, hire somebody, or you can even evaluate the tenants yourself. So you know you have the right tenants. I do all my evaluation myself. I've had amazing tenants. Knock on wood. So I think you have to. Yeah, thanks. I think that's just what you have to do. You know, people are going to be scared, and that's what differentiates. You know, your investor to that person that wants to be an employee. You know, I don't want a boss. I want to be financially free. I want to build a brand. So, you know, that's what I do. I take risks. So, you know, I mean, another thing, I just got into the stock market. I'm not a stock market fan, but you know what? I'm like, you know what? Let me see what it's all about. I'll get into it a little bit and go from there, you know? So, you know, I'm taking a risk, but I'm that kind of guy. Exactly. A lot of people don't want to put the work in. They're not cut out for this, you know, because sometimes you are going to get calls at 3:00 in the morning. You know what? It's part of business. But when you cash in the check, the $1,000 check or $2,000 check, passive income, with very little taxes taken out, you're probably like, you're not thinking of that 3 a.m. call, you know? So
yeah, it's part of the game.
It's part of the game, baby.
Yep. Last but not question, Marc. Do you read? And what is your favorite business, investing, or real estate book that you would recommend to anyone? Or, you know, even a podcast or anything that you're consuming, kind of.
So I read. I've read before. I don't read a lot of books. I have read a handful of books in the past 3 or 4 years. My comprehension skills are not there. I have takeaways, but I'm too all over the place, and that's an excuse. I could read books. Right now, I'm just in a position that I'm always on the road. I'm always balls to the wall. So for me, like I said, it kind of was nice to sit here and disconnect for an hour, as hard as it was to get here and do it. It was good. I could probably do that with reading too. I'm more of like an Audible guy. I've listened to books on Audible. I'm a big podcast guy. I listen to Ed Milet, Andy Frisella, Grant Cardone, Ryan Stewman, and I just follow Mark Evans. I went to 10X. I went to St. Louis for an Arte event. I'm an Arte Syndicate. It's a group with Andy Frisella and Ed Milet. So I do that kind of stuff, and I hope it makes up for not reading. So that's my thing. I'll go to the gym and I'll listen to Audible or podcasts. Although the past year I probably haven't, because I've been on the phone the whole time. Like I'll go on the Stairmaster to be on my phone just so I can disconnect when I come home with the family, So I'm at the point that I kind of need to hire some people to kind of to take the phone calls away, because I get about 80 to 100 a day.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's not a bad thing at all, but
no, but
it does.
But sometimes you need a break.
Yeah. Still have to disconnect.
Once
in a while.
So, yeah, I've read Relentless. I've read a couple of them. I forget. What's that one with David Goggins? There was a book with David Goggins. He's an animal. I forget what it was called, but that one. So I've read a couple of them.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I'm a podcast kind of guy, or Audible though.
Mm-hmm. I haven't really tried the audio books at all.
Yeah.
I listen to podcasts and stuff all the time, but I might have to try something like that. A lot of people like that.
I've learned a lot from Bigger Pockets podcast too.
Yeah.
So.
Totally. And the best part about podcasts is they're free.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You can't go wrong.
Nope, not at all.
But yeah, thank you so much for coming on here, Marc. I could talk to you for hours, man.
Yeah, no. We'll get on for another one. If we draft up some more questions, we'll get on for another one. Maybe we can make it an agenda. It kind of do something else, maybe geared towards someone's a new investor, what he has to do, his first steps, whatever I can do to help.
Yeah, I'd love to, man. I was looking forward to this one for a while.
Absolutely. But yeah, if you don't mind, do you mind tagging both my companies and some of the people I mentioned? Because big thing is whether we tag Grant Cardone, Ryan Stewman, all them guys, because the more people that see it, obviously it builds our following. So I've been really trying to build the following for the past 2-3 years. So
I'd love to, man. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, no.
And lastly, where can you be found on social media? Everything.
Yeah, so Instagram, Marc Buys Houses. That's my personal account. Business accounts, Eastside Property LLC. Facebook is facebook.com/Eastside Property LLC. And RCL Mechanical is facebook.com/RCL Mechanical. So that's where I'll be.
Perfect. Yeah, Marc, thank you again for coming on here, man. This was totally crazy. I picked up a few really, really crazy principles from this, and I can't wait to share it with everybody. And
absolutely.
All right, guys, that concludes our Creating Wealth podcast episode for today. I want to thank every single person that has listened this far. It really means a lot to know that people can learn from me and with me as we build wealth together. Hopefully you can take home at least one thing from this podcast that will improve your life just a little bit. If you could, please check me out on social. That's at Kyle Curtin Real Estate on Instagram, Facebook, and I'm on Bigger Pockets. Until next time, let's build together.